and they were walking, the one student was telling me they were up to their ankles in water trying to record and find the object. It was a big problem. So when we excavated here, we covered the trenches over. We built roofs over the whole place before we excavated to protect the site. Then they said, oh, it's located by a nail in a tree. That's how you find the site. It is a nail in the tree. Well, there were more trees around, but I think it was that big tree down there. These are all new ones. But there are also many nails in the tree there. So we had a job to find. We got the local people said, oh, we think it was about here. So we, in fact, opened a trench and we found the edges of the earlier trenches. And then we could overlap. And if you look at the plan on the wall, you can see there are overlapping areas of excavation. But it was only by, that's a bit of luck and guesswork. Later, to mark where we excavated exactly, we buried remains of iron steel scaffolding poles, steel poles, in the ground just below the surface, so that someone with a fine metal detector could find exactly where we excavated. Perhaps they're not there. I know at one year we found someone watching this came out and dug them out in case there was something valuable there, but others survived. So the excavations were primarily between here, I think, and that big tree, under where that car is and over that area. But yeah, around here. We did excavate further out towards that car and that tree. We found nothing. It was sterile. We said there was no archaeological remains. But there are areas which are under the ground still, which could be excavated still. Better leave them there for a while, I think, than damage the material. Welcome address, and I'm very pleased to be back here. It's nearly 40 years since I first came here to plan excavations at BanDonTaPhet. Later I worked for nearly 30-something years ago for over 2 or 3 seasons in this area, and we have published many articles and papers about it. Is that close good enough? You can hear me? Since I've spoken about this material and the site and the importance of the site as an important pre-Dvaravati site, but showing already the indications of close trade links with South Asia, with India particularly, as exemplified in the beads and many of the objects and the bronze, decorated bronzes. So it's a key site for the beginnings of cultural trade and exchange with India. I think we've already had an explanation how the site was found. Students from the local school digging trenches to make a fence around the school grounds found some burials by chance. Very quickly a group came from the FAT in Bangkok to excavate here in 1975-1976, then particularly between my adjunct Chin Yu, who later helped me enormously visit the site when we were excavating, and again provided us information and background to his own work here, so that we were able to have quite successful excavations. I'll just comment a little bit on this diorama, but this display. This is, as explained, is not a real excavation pit. In fact, in BIA, Ajahn Kimchak really complained a little bit we didn't leave our excavation pits open so that they could make a display over them. But I think that's a bad idea, to leave excavation pits open. They deteriorate very badly, they eroded, they need constant attention. But in fact they have made quite a good replication of how the material was laid out and found. And what's notable that there are no skeletons here, no inhumations, although it's a secondary burial site where things were brought and placed here. thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
When I'm back in England, I will show this to my family because my wife also worked here for a while, and my two children, aged about 5 and 7 years old, helped to excavate at the pit in 1982, I think 83 or 84, 85. So that they will be, unfortunately there's no pictures of them in the excavation, but I have one of them, and it will remind them of what was for them a very happy time, coming to Thailand, sleeping in the village, coming to work here and enjoying their life in Thailand. Let me also just say that the bulk of the objects from the excavations are the better pieces are in the National Museum in Bangkok, and you've seen some of them. Also a lot of material in the Bangkok Provincial Museum. Other material is stored by the Fine Arts Department archives, I think in a depository at BanDonTaPhet, but I heard that there was a disaster there of a flood. Some materials are stayed in London, where there's still some research being done on the technology and materials, but most of it is back in Thailand.